Hello everyone, Amod here from the Target Common YouTube channel, and in this video we are going to learn to overwrite the values of headers in Resistor. So if you have gone through with the previous video, then you must know that if we are passing like suppose if we need to pass one header with multiple values, so we need to pass the same header name twice, right? So just let me show you one example so that you'll understand better. But if you want to learn in detail, so I will suggest you to go and watch my previous video. Okay. So let me create a class here and let me name it like default header behavior. Okay. So what is meaning of default behavior? Here I want to show you that what happens when we pass the header with the same name. Okay, so let me create one testng annotation, testng sorry, a test annotate method from testng, and let me name it public void default behavior. Okay, so let me maximize it. So what I mean, like race assured is the class that we call the given method. Okay, and we can pass the headers using this header method, right? And we have so many header and headers which I have explained in detail in my previous video. So let me go with the simple header method where I can pass the header name and header value, right? Sorry, I will keep value. Okay, so like suppose what will happen if you pass this header again one more header with the same name, means header one just value will be different. Okay, and let me put that log so that we can see log dot all, and let me call it dummy post, some HTTP method like that. Okay, I am not worrying about what a response is going to give. Just I want to see in the response console log for how many headers are being passed. Okay, so let me run this one and let's see the behavior. Okay, so here you can see in the request headers are passed, and you can see it's taking duplicate headers, right? But two different values. Okay, so by default, when we are passing the header, when we are passing multiple header which has the same name, okay, and so what will happen? It will not override the value. By default, it merge the value. Okay, merge means it will send both the values. Okay, it's nothing like if you're passing the two headers which has the same name and it will override the latest value. No, it will not override. It will merge both the values. So now you may ask what will happen if you pass both the values like value one, value one. Okay, this is possible. What will happen in this case? Okay, so let me run and show you what should happen in this case, and I think you should be able to guess now. Okay, what should be the behavior here? So yes, if you have guessed, like it will merge whatever, because it is not checking whether you are uh, which value you are passing, whatever you are passing. Okay, whatever you are passing, okay, it will simply go and merge. It will not bother if you are passing the same value. Okay, so if you're passing the key, duplicate key, with respect of any type of value, that might be same or different, that doesn't matter. It will simply merge. Okay, now, so you may ask like why I will pass the header with the duplicate name, right? You can ask, right? If I want to pass the header with multiple values, so I can pass the multiple values like here only, right? We have seen this one. Okay, why I will use this particular header again? Okay, you might ask this question. If I use this particular way or particular method, it will also help you to pass the header with multiple values. Okay, we can see header one value one and header one value two, right? But the question, but where the problem occurs, where the problem is coming, where we need to change this behavior. I don't want that headers should be merged. I want headers should be override. Okay. So before going where we are going to use in real time, let me go and show you how can we change this particular behavior. Okay. So what I'll do, I will create a new test-ng method here itself. Okay. Test. And I will name public void override header value. Okay. So what is my expectation? If we are passing the headers, okay, if I am passing the headers which contains the same key, don't merge the values. Instead, override the value. Means in this case, the latest value should override. Means you need to instead of value 1, it should be value 2. Okay. So for that, we have some configuration. Okay. So Resistor provides you complete flexibility to configure the things. Okay. So now we are going to learn how can we configure the header behavior, or how can we override the default behavior of headers. Okay. Means headers which contains the same key or contains the same name. Okay. So what we need to do, we have Resistor. Okay, Resistor, and we have one method called sorry, first we need to call the given method. Okay, because it will give you the request specification. Then we have one method called config. Okay, config. Inside this, we have another type called config, which is another class. Okay, in this class we have a static method called config. Okay, config. If you're seeing some other examples, so they are directly using the static input, so you many people confuse from where it is coming. So that's why I'm not using static input, just to show you which class contains these methods. So we have a config method, okay, inside the Resistor class. In config, if you see here, this, sorry, if you see the method more about config, okay, you can see it takes the type of Resistor config. Resistor config is another class. Okay, so we are going to create a Resistor config. Okay, so here in the Resistor config class, we have a method called config. Okay, inside this config, we need to configure what we want to config. Okay, so there's so many types of configuration. So I want to do header configuration. Okay, initially you will feel difficult to remember, but once you practice you will remember it. So inside the config we need to say that I need to config header. Okay, inside header config, here you have another class called header config. Okay, header config, and then we have method called overwrite header config, sorry, header config class, we have method called, sorry, we are missing something. So let me go here because I came to new line, so I'm just confused here. So resistor.config. Okay, resistor.config. Okay, we can see it doesn't take any parameter. Okay, then we have one method called class called header config. Okay, we can see here inside this header config. Okay, we need to use the header config class. Okay, and in this we have another again header config. Then we are getting one method called override headers with name. Okay. Yeah, so it's lengthy. You might be confusing here, but I will explain it again. Okay. So just let me put in multiple lines. Okay. So finally we got one method called override headers with name. Okay. So what this method allows you to do, you can mention the header names. Okay. Multiple header names you can mention, for which you want that values should not be merged. It should be overwrite. Okay, you can see the name only, overwrite header with name. So what I want that if the value, if the header name is called header one, then overwrite the value, don't merge it. Okay, don't merge it. So this configuration I have done. Okay, then if you call method like header, okay, and if you pass header one and value one, okay, and suppose I pass the same header with a different value, or you can keep any value just to show you how it is overriding. I am using the different value. Okay, so first I have set up, first I have did the configuration. In this configuration, I am saying that if you find the header with the name header one, don't merge it, override the value. Okay, let you put the log dot all. Okay, then call the some dummy get method. Okay, when dot get. Okay, so what I did simple, I am just setting up the configuration. In this, I am mentioning that if you find any header with the name header one, so for that don't merge the values, override the value. Okay, so let me run it and you'll see that how we are overwriting the value. Okay, so here you can see it is taking header one equal to value two. Okay, that means it got overwritten by the this session now. Sorry, because we have mentioned that override the value, don't merge the value. If you comment this one, so automatically merge the value, it will not override. Okay, so yeah, you can pass multiple things like I want that put, if you find two headers, okay, you can pass multiple headers here. Okay, if you see the definition of declaration of this particular method, we can see it's you can pass as many as headers you want. Okay, but this is the way you need to do. You cannot pass as a map or something. Okay, you need to pass individually like this. Okay, and suppose here I am passing another header. Okay, where I have header three and header three. Let me pass another things like header two. I need to change the value like 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I did in the under the configuration, I am just setting the configuration to override the header value only for header 1 and header 2, not for any other headers. So if I run this particular example now, so only header 1 and header 2 values will be overwritten, and for header 3 it will be merged. Okay, so let me execute it. Okay, so here you can see header 1 value 2 means it is overwritten. Same thing for header 2. Okay, but header 3 value got merged. Okay, so this way we can configure if I want to merge the values or I want to override the value. Okay, okay. Uh, and if you see here, we have another one method which is called merge header. Okay, so what I want to do, let me add another config and the config, and I will add the same syntax again. This assured config dot config. Okay, then we have a header config method. This particular method takes an header config class instance. So header config dot, you can see merge header with name, right? So let me use this one and let me put header one here. Okay, so let me put in multiple lines so that you people can see. Okay, so what I did here, what I simply did here, I am adding two config, right? We can call the method again multiple times. You can call. There's no issue in that. Okay. So what I'm doing in the first config, I am saying that override the value for header one and header two. Okay. But in the next configuration, what I'm mentioning that if you're finding the header one, if you're finding the header one key, sorry, if you find any header with the name header one, then merge it, right? You can see I am contradicting here. I am first time I'm saying that override the value. The second time I am saying that do no, for header one you merge the values. Okay. So what will happen if you run this now? Okay, this might be confusing and really need practice because you need to run the code and you to see what is happening. Okay, but this video will help you to understand the concept as well. Okay, so here I am trying to confuse the recessive. Okay, so let me run and this see what happens this time. Okay, so we got the answer and you can see, let me copy this one and let me put it here. So you can see the output is like this, header one and header one, right? There's to both the values. Okay, so merge header with name may be working, but header three or by default will merge only because we have not done any configuration. But why header two are also merged, right? Header two are also merged. It is we are expecting that because for header two this particular configuration should be applied, right? But it's not. It's not applying, right? For even header two also it is merging, right? So actually what is happening here when you are passing multiple configuration, okay, multiple config method like this one, so it will only consider the latest configuration it will consider. It will not merging the configuration here. Okay, it is not merging the configuration means this particular config method will override this particular behavior. Okay, so whatever you are mentioning here, only this will work. Okay, just to prove this particular syntax, what I can do, I can use the same method again. Okay, same method again. So here I'm saying that header one and header two both should be override, but here I'm saying that only header one should be override. So it is not like that both configurations will be merged. Okay, both configurations will not be merged. Okay, so let me run it and you can see only the header one is overwritten, not others values. Okay, you should be able to see here only the header one is only overwritten, others two values are not overwritten. Okay, it is merged. Okay, so don't confuse with the multiple configuration without, because it will be problem. It will, because Resistor will ignore the other config methods. Okay, so okay, there's another one interview question also. If you're attending any API or SSO based interview, they might ask these questions. Okay, because I faced these questions, and if they will also ask, what are the two headers? Okay, by default SSO merge the headers, but there are two headers which they will not merge. Okay, they will be always overwritten. Okay, if you want to know about that, those headers are called accept and content type. Accept and content type are not merged. Okay, because there is no meaning of that. You cannot have like multiple values for those. Okay, so what is happening? If you have these two headers will be always overwritten. Okay, if you go here and mouse over this particular method, and if you expand this particular definition as well, you can see here that default define headers that should be overwritten instead of merged adding headers or using request specification. So don't go for request specification as of now, but yeah, see here, note that note that by default all headers are merged except the accept and content type headers. Okay, means content type and accept headers will never merge. Okay, and this might be part of your objective interview questions as well. Okay, now you might ask, in which condition we are going to decide this particular behavior. Okay, why I want to use this, why I want to confuse the resistor, where to merge or override. I will not pass multiple, or I will not pass that something called duplicate one. Yes, but actually what happens in the real time, you don't add the headers every time. Okay, don't originally we create some different request specifications. Okay, so let me create uh, a new class here. Okay, and I will put real time header override. Okay, let me maximize it. Okay, what I'll do, test public void real time header override. Okay, what I'm going to do here, let me create a request specification. Okay, request specification, and I will give the res1, and let me put rest assured. Okay, sorry, rest assured given. Okay, let me pass header. Okay, header 1 and value 1. Okay, okay, and suppose these settings you are doing inside some before or after annotations, so that you can go and use in some others also, right? So what I'll do, I'll get another request specification as well. Okay, okay, and what I'll do, I will name it res2, and I'm passing a different value here. Okay, actually we can pass multiple request specification and response specification in our script. Means given we can pass both spec res1 and spec rec2. Okay, we can pass multiple request specification. Okay, and if I do log dot all, and let me call some dummy http method called get. Okay, and if I run this method, this particular test now, so what will happen, it will be merged, both the specification will be merged. And since we have two headers, right, so it will have two headers now. So one guy has asked me, can we pass multiple request specification? Yes, you can pass. And that's why in real time we need to be very careful when we are creating the request specifications. We need to create in such a way that we can reuse it, right? No, there's no need to have only one request specification where you need have everything. You can create multiple as per your need. Okay. So suppose you have 100 APIs, and out of 100 you can group which groups are going to use the similar request specification. Okay. If I run it now, we can see it will take both the headers. Okay, it is taking both the headers, right? But now, since suppose we have one header method here again, and this particular method takes again header one only. Okay, and we have some value 2. So you can see here, let me change it to value 3. You can see here this request specification also has one header called header 1. And this also has header 1, right? If you run this now, so we know well what will happen. It will be merged, right? Means this time 3 headers will be passed. Okay, we can see header 1, value header 2, and header 1, right? It is merged. Header 1, header 1. I don't want that one. I want to change the behavior. Okay, what I can do here, I can go and create one config. Okay, notice here I'm not creating request specification. You can create there as well. But what I'll do here, I will go to config, and let me copy this syntax, or let me write it again. Is assured config dot config. Okay, we have a method called header config. Okay, so hopefully you should be remember now header config. Okay, again we have one method called header config. Then we have overwrite header with name, right? What I will do, I will do header 1. Okay, let me delete this one. I don't want to have multiple headers. Let me put in multiple lines. Okay, so what I did inside the test, okay, I'm not touching this request specification part. Okay, what I did, simply what I did, in the whenever I'm writing the test, there I am passing in configuration where I'm saying that, hey, if you get the header with the name header 1, don't merge. Don't merge. I don't want to get it merged because for this particular test, I want it to override. Okay. So what you need to do, you need to simply I pass the configuration here, and if you run it, okay, if you run it, you can see this time it will be value will be overwritten for header 1, okay, which you can see header 1 equal to value 2. Okay, so this will be the real usage in real time. You create the request specification as per your requirement wherever you think that you can use it, and if you want to change some behavior, change inside the test. Okay, like this I'm using. Suppose this request specifications you have created inside the before suite or before class, anywhere you have used. Okay, but inside the test, I'm simply passing this configuration just to override the default behavior. Okay, and this will not impact your other tests, or this will not impact your this specification as well. Okay, so this particular thing is really helpful when you are going to implement in framework and all. Okay, so many times people ask, okay, we can pass it, create a map and then we can pass it, but in map again you need to have problems, right? You cannot, because when you're passing the new value to a old key, automatically value will be replaced, right? Old value will be replaced. Okay, so every approach has some advantage and some disadvantage as well, but we should know everything. Okay, at least we must have ideas like what we can use or what are the options we have. Okay, so obviously I can understand this might be confusing for you, but yeah, practice makes the anyone perfect, right? So just practice it. If you have any confusion, you can always comment and you can text me or you can mail me, whatever way you feel comfortable, you can contact with me. So thank you everyone. We'll meet with another topic on this episode soon. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.